So the actor who played Superman died in a really horrible way, and there are like conspiracy theories surrounding it. So we all know there's a new Superman actor, David Cornsweet. And before him was Henry Cavill. And before him was Brandon Routh. And before him is the one most people have been familiar with, Christopher Reeve. And yes, there are some other guys who play him in various TV shows, but like, stay with me. Now before all these Supermen is the original, the very first one. His name is George. And George is about 37 years old when this story starts, living in Los Angeles. And George is a talented guy. Like, he used to be an amateur boxer. This is a picture of him. But now he's an actor. And here he is in Gone with the Wind, where he had a minor role. And just for the hell of it, here's another picture of him just like being handsome. Handsome motherfucker. But one day in 1951, his whole career changes because he gets cast to play Superman in a movie called Superman and the Mole Men. And George does a really good job.
All I'm telling you is that little creature in there has as much right to live as you do.
And so this is the first superhero feature film based on any DC comic book character ever. So this is like kind of a big deal. And like most Supermen, George comes to really embody this role. And so from here, the studio creates a television series called The Adventures of Superman. And George keeps playing the part.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men.
And this is a great role for him. And so he keeps acting in episode after episode after episode of this show for 6 seasons. They actually make 106 episodes of this, which is just unheard of now. But the show is actually a huge hit, and it's like family friendly, so like every family in America is watching every episode every week. And I'm sure this was groundbreaking TV at the time. I mean, look, they had George like flying and shit. I mean, look at him go. I mean, that looks real. I believe it. Now, as cool as this gig is for George, he unfortunately isn't really feeling it as much as you would think. Because it's the 1950s and TV acting is just not seen as legitimate as movies are during this time. It's kind of seen as like a novelty, like minor league shit. And George, he wants to be taken seriously. Like he's trying to get roles in more feature films and stuff. The problem is, the Superman show is very popular, and he's become so strongly associated with this character that he starts being typecast. And so people only see him as TV Superman. So a lot of other roles he does manage to get, he's in like some sort of costume, and no one watching would really know if it was him or not. And like he even makes a cameo on the I Love Lucy show, but like as Superman.
How do you do? My name is Superman.
Oh boy, am I glad to see you!
And again, this would be a big deal, but it's really bumming George out. I mean, he feels like he's being held back as an actor. Not only that, the poor guy is having money problems. Like, he has a hit show, but during this time, TV doesn't pay actors as well as it will years later. And because of all this, George starts getting depressed. And he starts drinking. Like, a lot. And around this time, he starts dating this woman, Leonore. And despite George's depression, he and Leonore get engaged. Here's a picture of them. Now, here's where things get dark. So it's 1959, and George is 45 years old at this point. And the 6th season of The Adventures of Superman just ended. And they're like filming it in color now, so it's like come a long way. But the season has ended. And one night, he and Leonore get back home from a night out. And they've had some drinks, and George is tired. So after a bit, he goes upstairs to go to bed. But see, Leonore, she's a social person, and she wants to keep the party going. And they already have one house guest staying with them, and then 2 neighbors come over and join the party. And so the 4 of them are hanging out, and they're drinking and having a good time, probably being a little loud as parties tend to be. And apparently this isn't sitting well with George. Like, he's trying to sleep, and he's hearing these people downstairs having fun, and it's kind of pissing him off. Now, just to be clear, George is still very depressed. Like, he's having financial problems. He had been trying to direct a low-budget sci-fi movie, but it recently got canceled because he couldn't get funding. And he has to act in a Superman stage show in order to get a paycheck, and he's not really feeling that. And he might be able to make some money when they bring the Superman show back, but that would involve him playing Superman again. And at 45 years old, that's just not what he really wants to do. So anyway, he's lying there in bed, all pissed off that his fiancée and her friends are keeping him awake. And finally, around 1 a.m., boom, he storms downstairs and he tells them all to quiet the hell down. And he tells the neighbors to get the hell out. And this turns into an argument. But pretty quickly, they all calm down and George goes back upstairs to bed. Now, this is a really weird moment because it's when Leonore turns to her friends and makes a joke. And she says, "In a moment, you'll hear a gun." And so she's actually joking about George unaliving himself. And through the thin ceiling, they can actually hear George upstairs opening a bedside drawer where he keeps his pistol. And so Leonore says it again. "He's getting the pistol out now and he's gonna unalive himself." And so everyone gets quiet. And then suddenly, it happens. Blam! They hear a gunshot. And one of the neighbors runs upstairs and busts into the room, and he sees that George has, in fact, unalived himself. And so, of course, they all freak out, and they call the police, and police investigate, and George's death is officially ruled a suicide. And so, yeah, officially, Superman unalived himself. Now, here's where the story gets interesting. George's friends and his mom, they don't believe that he unalived himself. They don't believe he would ever do that, which would then suggest that he was murdered. And to be fair, his cause of death has always long been disputed. And so, while we're on the subject, here are the leading theories on how he actually died. Theory 1. Theory 1 is it happened exactly the way I just told it. George had been feeling depressed for a long time and he was successful, but his career wasn't really going in the direction that was satisfying him. And so he got fed up one night and blam, he ended it all himself. Theory 2. Theory 2 is basically that everyone at the party lied. And so when George came downstairs to tell Leonore and the guests to quiet down, he and Leonore actually got into a massive argument that got really heated. And so they end up going upstairs to continue the fight away from their friends. And during this fight, George reveals that he doesn't really want to marry her. Apparently, he is done with this relationship. And so Leonore gets pissed off and she gets that pistol out of the drawer and she's threatening him, but she's not actually going to use it. However, unfortunately, blam, the pistol goes off with the shot hitting George. And afterwards, she got the group to lie to the police and say that she was downstairs with them the whole time in order to, cover her tracks. Theory 3. Theory 3 is real weird. So over the years, George had been hooking up with this woman. Her name's Toni. And Toni is married to this guy. His name's Eddie. And Eddie allegedly knew that his wife Toni and George had been hooking up this whole time. He just didn't really care. I mean, they were all friends and they would all hang out together. I don't know, it sounds like a weird Hollywood thing. Now, eventually, George would break up with Toni because he was about to marry Leonore. I mean, he's trying to get serious with her, so he can't keep dating Toni. And this breakup breaks Toni's heart. And because George broke Toni's heart, Eddie got real mad. And he and Toni sent some mafia-type friends to George's house to climb in through the upstairs window, and blam, they off him. Now, allegedly, Toni confessed to all this on her deathbed. Now, I don't know if that's actually true. Those are just the leading theories, I guess.